All right, you guys, this your boy back at y'all with another one, man. Let's get down to business. All right, so when we're talking about Joel Olsteen, right? Now, this was a subject that I've talked about on a few occasions on this channel when we come to pastors grifting their congregation and their extravagant lifestyles. Now, we've talked about Joel Olsteen, quite a few in this channel, right? Whether it was about him refusing to open up his home and after Hurricane Harvey, not his home, but his church, right? Him refusing to open his church after Hurricane Harvey, when Hurricane Harvey ravaged the city of Houston in 2017, right? To him taking a $4.4 million PPP loan or whatever like that, right? And now, most recently, Joel Olsteen, through God's gift, was able to purchase a $325,000 Ferrari, right? Now, Joel Olsteen is the senior pastor of Lakewood Church, that's in Houston, Texas. The church that he occupies used to be the Summit. Now, the Summit was where the Houston Rockets played up until 2003. They won 2 championships in that arena. They've held countless concerts in that arena. So Joel Olsteen took that church, took the arena where the Houston Rockets played and turned it into a mega church, right? Where you have 16,000 on average every Sunday go there and listen to his sermon on prosperity gospel. And in case you don't know what prosperity gospel consists of, basically it revolves around this: mustard seed faith. So for all intents and purposes, you give your money to Joel Olsteen or whatever pastor, and then eventually you will reap the benefits of this faith that you sow to the ground. That's the whole notion behind prosperity gospel, okay? The problem with that is that when you have these preachers that take this money, and by the way, before we get further into this, right? These pastors, when you have a church, you don't pay taxes at all. By the letter of the law, churches do not pay taxes. So when you get these donations and you got a house the size of a fortress, your house is so big that way you can fit like 8 families into it, and you're driving around a $325,000 Ferrari and you get a $4.4 million PPP loan, people are going to look at you with the side eye. And that's what the grifting con as Joel Olsteen has. So God's gift enabled you to buy a $325,000 Ferrari, right, off a $4.4 million PPP loan that you didn't know, that you didn't earn, that you shouldn't have. Why are you getting loans you shouldn't have? Look, when the government puts out that money for small businesses, right? Joel Olsteen Church is not a small business. So how is he able to get a $4.4 million PPP loan, and then on top, when he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right, through book deals, performances at different venues, right? Because he only did a dang on get together at Yankee Stadium, right? So he gets money off of that. So just off the money from book deals and him traveling all across different venues to preach the prosperity gospel, enable him to attain the wealth that he has possessed. So for the people that's less fortunate out in Houston, right? Why hasn't Joel Olsteen demonstrated the practice that he's preaching? Why? Why has Joel Olsteen refused to take his massive wealth and instead of talking the talk, practicing what he's talking? And this is why people have a hard time believing in churches and the gospel, have a hard time believing in God, having a hard time believing in Jesus Christ and all of that, because people like Joel Olsteen, who take this message and use it as a way to acquire wealth for themselves and their families and their other constituents, but not to the same people who he is preaching the message to on a daily basis or even on a weekly basis. You telling people to sow their seed towards you, and yet you take their seed that they give towards you and take that shit to the nearest Ferrari dealership or the nearest Porsche dealership. Hell, for all intents and purposes, what the next car gonna be, an Aston Martin? Now, I want to know, why didn't you open your church up to those victims, to the people out in Houston, Texas, when they had that hurricane come through back in 2017, Joel Olsteen? Why? Why didn't Joel Olsteen open his church up to people who needed it? But yet, he's telling people, if you sow your seed, you will attain the wealth necessary, right? Because it's no different than what that woman, the one woman who was a cancer patient, gave all her money to Gloria Copeland. The woman ended up dying from cancer, and Gloria Copeland and Kenneth Copeland did not go see that woman not one time. They took the money, but they didn't take their ass to the hospital to give comfort to that woman. But yet they're sitting up here telling you that you need to sow your seed and all that. Yeah, sow your mustard seed. Right? Yeah, right? What's up, Octavius TX, man? Yeah, Bentley? So what's up with the plane? You got 2 private jets. Now, when a person got private jets, because how many people you know got private jets? When you got private jets, you at a level where price tag don't matter, right? So you couldn't take that private jet money and give that to the poor, the people that's less fortunate, right? You telling people, you out here telling people, man, you need to sow your seed. You got $1,000 out there, that $1,000 is not going to pay the rent, it's not going to pay your car note, and you got all the child support you got to pay. Once you give that $1,000 to me, and I can guarantee that money can grow. You sound like a goddamn loan shark. You sound like a goddamn. I mean, what do you call them? You sound like a damn con man. What's up, Ace Antenna? He sounds just like Creflo Dollar. Creflo Dollar on that dang old diatribe talking about, man, if God said I can have a $65 million plane, I can have a $65 million plane. You can't stop me from dreaming, right? You get the one jackass preacher talking about, hey man, this is God's plan. This is the miracle jet. And we're gonna go around the country and we're gonna go out there and share miracles every day. We're gonna preach the gospel. That's the prayer machine right here. I tell you, man, God's gonna work miracles on this prayer machine. Meanwhile, they take the same prayer machine and go in big game hunting bringing back endpoints and shit. Pastor and his son going big game hunting, looking for deer. But that's supposed to be a prayer machine, right? Y'all can't fool me. That's supposed to be a prayer machine. What are y'all praying for in the plan? Hey, God, thank you for allowing me for this to have this rifle and use this rifle as an instrument to bring me back an endpoint. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Really though? Really though? Boy, I tell you, boy. Now notice, a lot of these preachers that's out here, these televangelists, a lot of them reside in the state of Texas. Not saying all of them, but a lot of them, what's up, Stephen Brown, reside in the state of Texas. I can name 3 right off the bat. Actually, I can name 4 right off the bat. John Hagee, Kenneth Copeland, Joel Olsteen, and last but certainly not least, that buck dancer, no-neck, 3-chin having TD Jakes. Or I like to call it TD Fix. Man. I mean, it's just, and the crazy thing about this is, it's immensely popular. It's immensely popular. If you think about the different networks, right? Whether it be the Trinity Broadcasting Network, TBN, Inspiration, and there's a third one. I think it's called Day Straight or Day Strike or Daybreak or some shit like that. I can't remember the third name. I know it starts with a day, but I can't remember the last part, right? So you got those 3 major networks that carry this rhetoric or this teaching, right? To where if you can say you could continue to sow your mustard seed and continue to sow your faith, that God will meet you halfway and you're going to acquire all the riches in life. Now, mind you, all this time they're teaching all this stuff, right? You're supposed to listen to what they're saying because their word descended from the heavens into their mind and out of their mouth, right? But they don't practice what they preach. When's the last time you seen TD Fakes in the hood? Have y'all seen an episode the way TD Fakes took his ass to prison and preached the gospel to a whole bunch of inmates? What's up, T. Price? When's the last time y'all saw that? And if you have done that, if he has done that, then I'll retract my statement. When last time you see Joel Olsteen go to a hospital and give some consultation, give some glimmer of hope to a person that's battling cancer or to a person that's battling COVID-19, right? Because you leave it up to COVID-19, you leave it up to goddamn Jim Baker, he got the miracle water, right? Jim Baker is going to jail for fraud in the 90s, right? Jim Baker, for all intents and purposes, right, sat his ass on a panel with a whole bunch of other grifters and was trying to sell some miracle water at the first sign when the whole COVID-19 pandemic was at its embryo stages, right? He tried to sell us miracle water. Where'd you get that water from? Right from the tap? Did you buy some Dasani water? Right? Because, Dasani water was made straight from the tap. Right? Did you get some Dasani water? Pour it in this little bottle right here, and you shake it up real nice, and voila! I got the miracle cure for the COVID-19, right? Or what about Kenneth Copeland and that other jackass that he was standing right next to? Your hand out, your eyes closed, right? calling COVID-19 the destroyer and all that, right? Or this is my favorite one. This is my favorite one of all the grifting messages about this shit, right? My favorite one, when he was sitting up there in the front, and you got them 4 other jackasses standing behind him, and they're repeating this type of stuff. COVID-19, COVID-19. You can't make this stuff up, man. That's my favorite one out of all of them. If I wasn't on mobile right now, I would have played the clip. But anyway, Joel Olsteen and people of his ilk are part of the problem because they don't practice what they preach. They'll take your money, but they're not going to come out and see you if you're at a hospital and you've been a devout member for many years. They're not going to come. They're not even going to open their doors to have you take shelter when there's a raging hurricane blowing the tops off people's houses, killing people left and right, and creating floods all over the city. They're not even going to open their doors to let you in for shelter. And it was only after the media, it was only after he was called out on this notion, then that they backpedal and revert the damage control. That their PR department was twisting themselves into pretzels to, hey, all this accusations about us not opening our doors, and this is not true because we were taking the steps necessary to make sure we had all the supplies necessary so we could come. Shut the fuck up, because that's a whole bunch of goddamn fucking word salad. Then you had Joel Olsteen himself going to damage control mode. Well, we had to make sure we had all the security in place, and we had to make sure we had all the necessary materials, and we had to make sure everything was right in place so that way we're going to open our doors so everyone can be safe and sound. Get the fuck out of here. He had no intentions of opening his doors. It was only after he was called out for this shit, then all of a sudden now heaven's gates have opened. Now let's talk about these preachers on the lower scale, because all those guys, all the aforementioned guys I talked about was on a higher scale. These are the mega churches. You have like damn near 16 to about 20,000 people coming in on a given Sunday. And then you have to think, that's not just one service, they have multiple services and all that. So those guys, you can have at least about 20,000 people a piece. So if you do the math, 20,000 people, 3 different services, you got at least 60,000 people coming to that church on a given Sunday. Hell, that's more than what the LA Chargers have to their football games. Hell, the LA Chargers don't have that many people coming to their football games. That many people go see Joel Olsteen and Creflo Dollar and anybody else. That's a mega pastor and all that, right? But let's talk about these preachers on the lower scale. The same preachers that be in your hood, right? Now, they'll sit up there. Hold on, before we get to that, I got a story to tell everybody, right? I got a story to tell. Yeah, JMJ. Yeah, I just talked about that, bro, homie. Shout out to JMJ 2121. Yeah, I just talked about that. I talked about how he got, God's gift in a $325,000 Ferrari. But anyway, let's talk about these preachers on a lower scale, right? These preachers on a lower scale, they want to sit up here and talk all this shit about, hey, will a man rob God? And you're like, yeah, a man can rob God. But aren't y'all robbing the people by not taking y'all ass out to the hood? So The only time you see these people, right, is when there's a Bible study on Tuesday and there's church service on Sunday. But do they come out anytime after that? Do you see them anytime after that? No. So, what the fuck? So that's what I gotta say about that. You don't see these pastors, right? I remember one time I was at a church in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and the dude literally stopped service because he felt like people didn't give enough money to the church. So he literally paused the church service, right? He paused the church service to where, hey, until I get more money, we're not going to continue on with this service. And people reluctantly give more money to this darn grifting ass preacher here. For real. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't. Don't even want to come out to the hood. I mean, some of these churches are in some really rough neighborhoods. A lot of these preachers don't even live in the church they freaking preach at. So you go in this rough neighborhood on Sunday morning trying to preach the gospel, right? But then your house is in a gated community in another part of town. Who does that? Who does that? That ranks up there with the politicians, right? Politicians do shit like that. Hey, I represent this district. I don't live in this district, right? My district consists of crime and drugs and all this other type of shit, right? Run down homes, people homeless and all that. But yet, you gonna take your ass around the other part of town where there's all kinds of security, a gated community, all that shit. But yet, when your constituents that you're supposed to represent bring this issue for you to address, you ignore it because that's low in your priority list. And I think that's disgusting. No different than what these pastors here be doing to the members of their congregation. When you got people in your congregation needing help, when you got people in your congregation that's, showing that they believe in you, that they trust you, and all that, why would you then turn around and fund your own lifestyle while leaving these people that are supposed to trust in you in the dust? Exactly, T. Price. What about all these scandals that's going on in the church, right? We can go on to the you over there telling people live a holy life. Meanwhile, you getting your dick sucked in the pulpit. Or you go back to the pastor's chambers and you out there committing sins and all that, got the deaconess's legs cocked up on the preacher's table. You fucking heard doggy style with the Jesus piece right above you. You got the cross sitting out there on the upper part of the room. You got the Jesus piece right next to you, and you banging Sister Jenkins doggy style in your chambers. What the hell is that? Then you go to communion, right? You take communion on Sunday, right? You're supposed to get wine. You're supposed to get wine. Why am I getting Welch's grape juice? If I wanted Welch's grape juice, I'd take my ass to Walmart and get Welch's grape juice. Or what's that other store? Oh yeah, take my ass to Sheets or Wawa or whatever other Exxon, for crying out loud. If I wanted grape juice, I ain't come here to do community for no goddamn grape juice. What the hell is that? Now, I'm not talking about the pastors out there that are doing things the right way, right? That's actually helping their community, right? I'm not talking about those pastors, because those pastors out there actually are making a difference for the people in their community. Not talking about those pastors. Those pastors, I give, the pastors that's actually taking the money and the resources that they've acquired and giving it back to their congregation. I've seen pastors take the money and resources and actually put kids through college. And that's commendable. That's respectable. I've seen that. I've seen pastors taking money and their resources and help people pay their rent through the pandemic. That's commendable. That's respectable. So I'm not talking about those pastors. Those pastors, they get the highest respect. But these grifting con artists out here, you don't get no goddamn respect from me. You don't get no respect for that. Sitting up here grifting people all the time. Talk about how about you show your faith in your congregation and give back? Especially if you're a mega pastor, if you're a mega pastor, and then a lot of times, let's talk about these mega pastors real quick before I end this video, right? Going back to them. Because this even happens on a lower scale as well. So if you're the senior pastor, I shouldn't have to go through the deacon and the deaconess. If this is not some chain of command, if I'm the member of the congregation, right, I should be able to have access to my pastor whenever I need him, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I should not have to go to the deacon and the secretary and his side hoe and anybody else. I should not have to donate $250 or whatever money I should have to donate just to talk to you. He should be a phone call away. If I really need help, that pastor should be a phone call away. The way he can pick up his phone and I can talk to him about whatever's bothering me or whatever like that, right? Now, if you don't practice this type of religion, then, I don't expect you to do nothing like that, right? But there's a lot of people out there that do. And what I'm saying is, a lot of you preachers out there that's using this as a front to fund your own lifestyle, shame on you. Shame on you. I mean, a lot of these preachers out here that do this stuff, they have extravagant lifestyles. Extravagant lifestyle. We talked about Joel Olsteen and this $10 million house and this guy dang on $325,000 Ferrari, right? We talked about all that, right? But my thing is, you can't help the poor out. You can't help out the less fortunate. You can't find your way to the nearest hood to help the people that's putting you in a position that's using you as a way for them to have a better life through your teachings and shit like that, right? You can't find your way to those people, but you can find your way to a goddamn Ferrari dealership or Rolls Royce dealership or a goddamn Aston Martin dealership, though, right? You can find your way to the nearest realtor that's going to cut you a deal on a brand new house. Disgusting. That's why people don't go to church no more. That's why people don't believe in this. You know, a lot of people taking religion as bullshit. Well, a lot of people don't even go to church no more. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that, man. Yeah, that was Creflo Dollar, Mr. Panther. Yeah, we had just talked about him. Talk about if he could have a $65 million plane, that can't stop him from dreaming, right? So you had him, and then you had another pastor that said, "Oh, I brought a jet cash, and I bought a jet twice that size, cash. I bought a jet twice that size, cost 3 times as much, cash. Ooh, I can feel the heat. I can feel the heat in the room tonight, right?" So yeah, we talked about all those pastors, man. All them dudes, man. All them dudes disgusting, man. For real. We talked about how they would take those planes. They say these planes supposed to be prayer mobiles, yet they going big game hunting these prayer mobiles. They doing all kinds of shit. They out there. All we know, and that's just what we know. Only heaven knows what we don't know what's going on inside those fucking planes. So, yeah. So that's what we got going on right now. Joel Olsteen, grifting con artist, trying to spew out that nonsense about, oh, he's a man of faith, he's a man of worship and all that, but don't give that same energy back to his constituents. I think that's disgusting. You know, preachers and politicians are both one and the same. Think about this. Preachers and politicians are one and the same. They both do the same thing. They both out here conning people. I don't like that, man. For real. I don't like nobody out here being con. I don't like no goddamn con man. But that's all I got for now. You guys let me know what y'all think. Smash the like, hit the subscribe. This your boy. Scream at me. Oh!